Retro anime. How did we find it? How does it hold up? Unpacking the ins and outs of being an old school nerd and proving that 80s kids can't remember a damn thing right. These are the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd.
Welcome to Mindless Midlife Musings of the Anime Nerd. I'm Rick, and I'm joined by the rest of our panel, Brian, Lynette, and Vic. How's everybody doing?
Realize that you do that alphabetically.
Not always.
Yeah, so actually, Vic is right. I kind of just mix it up. In this episode, we get a little apocalyptic as we traverse the planet Jerra with the most dangerous soldier, MD Geist. MD Geist was originally released in Japan by Nippon Columbia in 1986. It was released in North America by Central Park Media in 1992. It's an anime and comic book series about a post-apocalyptic world, a different world, planet Jerra. And it's about Geist, who is the most dangerous soldier.
Number 2 at that.
Yeah, is genetically engineered to be a killing machine. And all the MDS units went homicidally insane. And so they locked Geist in a cryo tube, I guess, and
In space.
And then, okay, all right, so I'm not going to bother finishing the rest of this plot.
God. Yo, first time listener, I let you know. Rick does a wonderful job. He really is a master of pulling out all the little nuances and stuff of the previous anime. So I want you to go back and watch it because this is going to be a completely different show. And sir, I thank you for it. Let's get ready to rumble.
Oh my god.
Brian has been just letting this bubble up underneath the skin for weeks now.
This plot is it's nonsensical. All right, this anime is it's like heavy metal. I don't mean like the comic book series. This is
Like
is
the
what's that?
The video? The movie?
Yeah, but bad, right? Like heavy metal's it's a slog, but this is like a heavy metal album cover. That's about as much substance as a heavy metal album cover. It's like a high schooler got and said, "Oh man, he's like the most dangerous soldier, and he's in space, but
And what's
it's
his
post-apocalyptic." Everything about this makes no sense.
I thought it was like if you took everything bad from Mad Max Thunderdome, Conan the Barbarian, and Game of Thrones The Mountain and shoved it into one person and said, I have no idea
the
what
North
to-"
Star.
Yeah, but just a dash of fist.
All right. We have truly gone off the rails because I actually have a thought, and I was wondering if we could figure out how right I am.
Go ahead.
Okay.
First question.
Yes, this movie is the reason why drugs are illegal in Japan.
Knew that, wanted to figure that out. Thank you very much. But first question. Did any of the writers here work on anything from Hasbro? Or are just here?
It's a reasonable question.
No.
I'll let Vic research this because so this movie starts making with no sense whatsoever. There's a crawl that tries to set you up. Right, yes. Lynette gestured, and I have to comment on it. So it starts with this crawl, and you're like, okay, and then it cuts to the shot of this blonde killing machine, and he's already got a bullet in his head.
Yep.
Like right in the center of his head. No reason how it got there. No reason why it's not killed him. There's no backstory.
Reason why he hasn't tried to take it out? I mean,
It's just sitting in his forehead, and he's harpooning a spaceship, and there's no, and you don't really get it. I mean, it took me a lot longer than it probably should have to understand that this was a prologue to what was happening because there was really no setup. It's just this happens, and then we cut away.
What?
Nothing.
Hold on, time out.
Okay, wait, Brian, I got answers for you
Oh, Brian, he has answers. All right.
about the writer.
Yeah.
No, he has not done anything for Hasbro, but he has done The Guyver. He has done a bunch of TV Kamen Rider shows. He's done a bunch of Super Sentai movies.
So I can see flavors of Guyver in this, but this is Guyver on its worst day.
Oh, and he's also done Digimon Fusion.
So that, all right. So that being said, everything I was going to ask.
Are you, that's out of left field.
Right.
I got this one dude.
Like OAVs, everything super violent except Ultraman. He's done an Ultraman OAV. Television, he's done Happy Lucky Bikuriman, the Gigi no Kitaro series. He's done Digimon Fusion. He's done, like I said, Kamen Riders, a bunch of Super Sentai movies and shows, and yeah.
So here was my thought. MD Geist is Evil Duke.
Evil Duke. Okay. All right.
I really, this was the first time. All right. Again, first time listeners, we have gone through so many animes where we have talked about how you can see the influence. How we were saying that when G.I. Joe and Transformers and Hasbro, they were dubbed in English and everything was done in America, but the artwork is actually anime.
Mm-hmm. All right. Studios were Japanese.
Right. So the animators were Japanese. This was the first time I felt like I could see that correlation because indie guys had such a feel of G.I. Joe in the way everything was drawn. Even like I felt like the same artist did the Dreadnoughts. You know?
I mean, it could be, right? It could be that the staff was probably might have been some of the animation team that work for G.I. Joe had been farmed out to. It's entirely possible. Hence, stylistically. But this is like G.I. Joe on a trip bad day. This is bad G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is already, I mean, rose-colored glasses. But this is really bad G.I. Joe.
It's worse.
The opening title has my favorite line in this whole movie, and it's a line of text. It's trying to explain the MDS, the most dangerous soldier. And it says that they have the super mundane fighting ability.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So
it's not awesome. It's just super mundane.
they just don't die. That's
Yeah,
what makes
it's
them
super meh.
dangerous.
Like I thought like, have we been using mundane wrong?
Like, one second. I feel like I need to Google mundane.
I swear to God, I did, guys. I looked it up. We've not been using it wrong because I questioned everything I thought I knew. Put it in.
Ooh, second meaning of this earthly world rather than heavenly or spiritual one. So,
Yeah, I don't.
No, just no.
He was still not. No. Yeah, there were a lot of things that I was trying to check off. He was not meeting anything for like the most dangerous, other than the fact that he didn't die.
He caught a bullet in his his forehead wrinkles. Brian,
maybe he's so mundane it takes him a while for those wounds to actually affect him.
He's so mundane that it like circles back around like a movie that's so bad it's good.
Like
what happened is that the wound healed before his body realized he was shot.
like he got shot.
Yeah.
And then his mundane superpowers took over. And like, you're not gonna die? Okay, you know what? Whatever. This
I was shot.
This is
come back to this.
Like 60 seconds of this movie. This is the first 60 seconds is already setting you up for all this.
He was doing mind over matter. He has no mind, so it didn't really matter. He got shot in the
some of
head.
his decisions in the movie, yeah, for sure.
Then the Qualler, didn't it say something about this happened like 1,000 years or 500 years after the Christ Wars?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did that have to do with anything?
Absolutely nothing. They tried to make, that's why I said this is like a heavy metal album cover, in the sense of they tried to like build this epic story on the thinnest, most minimal amount of possible content. It doesn't. It 0 cents, 0. And as far as I know, and I didn't do the homework because that, there was a manga that was made after this that tried to explain things like a prequel.
Beforehand.
Come on.
Did it show like
Yeah.
did it show like the artist getting drunk and then
How much was on the table?
I just
And a copy of Heavy Metal.
yeah, the manga just shows a copy of Heavy Metal, nudie parties, and,
Yo,
and no.
we're actually skipping now 5 minutes into the movie now. Apparently, nudity didn't mean nothing in this.
no, definitely not,
It was there literally just for the fans because Geist did not care.
dude.
No, he didn't.
We're gonna get there. So it does this opening crawl thing. It does this whole bullet to the forehead thing with no story whatsoever. We don't know how the bullet got there. I don't know. And then it cuts to a spaceship crashing. And then all of a sudden, Geist is in an episode of Naked and Afraid, and he's got like 80s rocker hair mullet going on. I don't know what the hell that is.
He was doing his best Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator impression.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, but I love that line there. He says, "Somebody was playing with fire." You.
Did not look intimidating at all.
Oh my god, he's naked and afraid, and he just happens upon a guy who's dying in Nextrum power armor, which I had to
Yep.
pay attention to.
So what?
As Fist of the North Star rejects are taunting him.
Yep.
That's my note. It's this bunch of Fist of the North Star rejects are taunting him as he's like walks up to this guy who just died in armor, and he's like, "Oh, this is cool. I think I'll take some of this." And of course, make short work of them because he's MD Geist.
The most dangerous, super mundane.
And the girl whose name I never picked up,
Oh, I forgot it too.
she starts chatting him up like she's recruiting a band. Like she just, "Hey, what's up? Oh, you want the suit? Yeah, take it. No big deal." And he looks at her like, "I wasn't asking."
You want to jam? You want to jam with us? You want to jam with us?
I called her like outer space girl because her brain was just not there.
She moves fast. She took that align yourself with the strongest guy in the room approach. Like she did not, and just throwing herself at him. Please.
Literally.
Yo, I can tell you one thing. It's clear that Indy Geist, when he was in space, he did not watch not an episode of Go-Go 13.
He did not understand his role.
No.
Oh man. So at this point he's got this armor. I'm calling it armor. It looks like a knight's armor, but it's power armor. You know, okay. Maybe the highlight of the movie is the way this armor looks. Maybe, but everything else doesn't. Like the mecha design is really bad.
Right.
We've seen a lot of really good mecha design, and these power suits look really dumb. They got like these like legs with like extra sticks to like help them stand up. It's like it reminds me of when you don't know how to engineer and you're building Legos and you think, "I'm gonna make this robot," and then it doesn't stand. You're like, "I'm just gonna stick a stick on the back here to make it stand up better. I need a stick on this side so it's and you just keep piling on this, trying to get it to stand because you think it's going to be the coolest thing ever. That's what it felt like looking at the robots in this.
With the shoulder pads and the helmet that went.
That in
like,
scale.
It was terrible. It was
that's this whole movie to me. This
bad.
whole movie feels like everybody was trying so hard to be cool. Oh man, I got an anime gig. I got to impress my friends. Trying to make the coolest anime, the manliest anime ever.
That Fist of the North Star already existed.
Oh my gosh. Seriously.
Man, scale was also something wrong with this one. You didn't know how big the tank was. You didn't know how big the mechs were. And the mech was big. Oh, come on.
And it was, you know what it was like, one of the things when we're watching this is it felt like you could see this person was a fan of a lot of other things and tried to incorporate those things into this. He was probably a fan of G.I. Joe, tried to kind of incorporate. He was a fan of Venus Wars because that tank kind of reminds me of like the ships in Venus Wars. Like he's obviously a fan of like Maddox 1, but couldn't figure out how to make his own mech, so he just sticks on it to make it. You know, like he was clearly trying to emulate a lot of things, but couldn't capture any semblance of originality, or I don't know. It was rough. 20 minutes into this, I still didn't know the character's motivations. No motivations. He was in
Completely
cryosleep, he
mundane.
crashed, he woke up, and now he wants money?
Yeah, he was just I think that's all it was to it.
He's the protagonist. I want to be clear as we
Yes.
go through this. His character is the protagonist. He's the least horrible person of all the people you meet. Man.
And he starts the doomsday device. So that was
Right.
great.
Yes, he turned on the death force.
The tanks are getting the tank thing is getting attacked, the ship, I don't know, whatever. And they're like freaking out. So Geist is on his Harley and he's like, yeah, we're gonna ride in and we're gonna save him. And she's like, oh, we're gonna save. He's like, we're gonna save the guys in the tank, but they are. So he's like explaining to her how he knows that they'll pay more, so we're gonna help them. And all of a sudden, we care about money. That's fine. So he rides in on his Harley to save the people in their tank, right? And then through, I don't know, an action sequence, maybe 5 minutes longer than it should have been, you find out the guys in the tank had power armors. Right, so then the guy in the tank hops out with his power armor, starts f***ing people up, crushes a guy's skull, and lands, and he's like, thank you guys for all your help. I'm like, dude, you could have solved this by yourself 20 minutes ago. What are you doing?
And that's only 10 minutes in.
There's way too much head crushing.
Yes. There was a lot. I felt it was gratuitous head crushing, and knives to the face. I didn't understand it.
I love that. He hangs upside down in the front of the guy's purse. It looks like That's
he pulls a Chucky and
that's what it felt like.
But I have to say, the whole thing, the girl is just all excited. I have to say, if a dude pushed me and knocked me off a bed,
Redo.
All it takes is one time.
I don't think I would support him anymore. At the very least, I would walk away.
Yeah, she's like his manager. She's like walking in, talking for him, like trying to wheel and deal. It's like, I don't know how Geist tolerates her presence. He doesn't want to fuck her. She's clearly no use in battle. Like, why is she here? He killed people for less. So what's he doing with her?
Yeah, I thought he was gonna crush her head in the bed. Like I laughed. He's been doing that the whole or stab her in the face. But he did not. He just knocked her off the bed.
Let her be there. I don't know. So he saves them off of her bed. Now kicks her out of her bed.
And she picked up her clothes and walked away and said, "I will get him. I will win him over." I was like,
she's walking out of her own room,
right?
At her own place.
Right? I'm sitting there going, dude, this is supposed to be like Mad Max Conan Barbarian, where you're like sabers, guns, and things. I'd have shot him up, but nope. She just walked around going, "I will have him love me later." I was like,
no.
No.
This is not the way it's supposed to work.
Like no one got any loving in this series.
She's helping him negotiate with the captain guy, and I don't really fully understand it. But then Geist does the weirdest flex of all, and it's Ritzer Ovildo Folgen Streim, and then walks off. I wrote it down because I'm like, what the fuck was that? he leaves the room, and everybody's like, whoa, what's going on, man?
He was trying to Winter Soldier the guy.
What the fuck was that?
He's trying to Winter Soldier the guy. Fire truck, milk.
Mission report December.
He walks off, and they let him walk off. They didn't pay him.
Well, didn't they even tell the girl, because she's trying to negotiate? Didn't they tell her, "We didn't ask for your help. We could have done this by ourselves"? Because they did.
What happened is that they never struck a deal with what the price was.
So apparently, maybe that's, I don't know. So these power words, he says, and he walks off, and then they convince him to help. And then we come to the two most middle school naming conventions ever. So you know the story was written by people who are, you know, barely pubescent. And that's Brain Palace and Death Force.
Right. Right.
We have to access the Brain Palace.
You know what I
Stop
felt
the
like?
Death Force.
I had to grab a drink once about halfway into this movie because I was like, I don't think you have to. I don't think you should be sober to understand what this movie is trying to say. Jerra?
Brain Palace, man.
Brain
Brain
Palace is
Stupid.
so
No
it's
brain.
it's the 80s. You can get away with Death Force because it was the 80s. But Brain Palace is not. There's nothing intimidating about Brain Palace.
You both aren't even right.
It's the home for the super mundane.
Oh man. So there is one of the things this one of the many things this is infamous for is the first cut. When it came out, it was US Manga Corps, the company that released it under Central Park Media, they co-opted the silhouette of Geist as their logo. And he was their logo for, I don't know, so they went out of business.
Why?
Because apparently the founder was obsessed with this movie, like an unhealthy obsession, to the point that he released a special edition with added scenes, and they called it the director's cut. Like the American studio convinced the Japanese studio to release a director's cut, to give them and add scenes to try and flush it out. We didn't watch that version. And it doesn't
Thank
matter
you.
because the last thing I wanted to do was subject you to 5 more minutes. So
I watched that one.
congrats, well done. So this in 96, this came out in 86. In 96, 10 years later, they released the director's cut with an additional 5 minutes. I saw it back when it came out. I bought it. And
Yeah, it's in the other room right now.
they like tried to include an epilogue that paved way for the sequel. 10 years later, this is pre-Avatar bullshit. 10 years it took them to convince the studio that it was worthwhile to make a sequel. And the only reason why is because the first one did well here. It did well enough here that they were able to convince the Japanese studio to make a sequel.
Were we dumb in the 80s?
Yeah, no,
That
we were
was-
very dumb. We were very dumb.
We were desperate for anything anime.
Yeah.
We were done in the 2010s. As a matter of fact, we will go back to an episode, Golden Boy, right?
Sure.
Now, Golden Boy was the first one that I recommended to Lynette, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
The story was we were going through the anime convention, and we finally saw a dealer selling videos. And I started losing my because I saw MD Geist first. I was going to buy MD Geist. And I was going to say, Lynette, we got to watch this together. And I don't think, had I not seen Golden Boy instead and grabbed that, it's quite possible that Lynette would not be here.
It's entirely possible that she would have unfriended
Hey.
you immediately.
Fate saved our friendship.
Say her.
Oh,
Yay,
man.
Fate. At least Fate wasn't super mundane.
So this the first cut of this movie was infamous for, on top of just sucking, that it had a lot of animation mistakes and stuff, and that's because the crew that did it were pretty new to the job, so they made a lot of interesting mistakes. Like at the end, there's a body that like shifts on the the frame, like when they go to the cell, it was in the wrong place.
Yeah, remember that.
But another mistake that happened in it that is just me, I don't know why I caught it, but I did, is he's gearing up his armor and he's preparing his suit, and these fight techs, they call them, and fight techs, get it? Because it's fight and mech, and they combine fight techs. Anyway, so so it's this big RoboCop style armor, right? But the door opens to do its badass reveal of his black and gold armor, and you're like, oh. And then he steps out, and it's the sound of flat dress shoes on hardwood. Like, clack, clack.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, what? I backed it up because in my head, you know, you're waiting for the RoboCop sounds. You're right? No, it's clack, clack. It was the weirdest. I don't know why I caught it. I guess because I'd given up all hope at this point. It's this thing. I don't encourage you to go find it. But trust me, he steps out and it's like the Foley artist decided to just put on dress shoes and walk them across the wood. It's the weirdest.
Cheated at the moment.
Oh, so weird. It just bugged me so much. I was like, you know what? Of course, this.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Why do this to ourselves? Why did we?
I want to point out, Brian, that this was your idea. So
No. Look. No, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept that.
I feel like we have to apologize to people because its popularity was due to our generation.
Right?
People who are going, let's go watch MD Geist, and walking away completely disappointed.
Absolutely not. If we had to suffer, everyone needs to suffer.
Or did they walk away disappointed? Maybe there's another cult following.
I tried to find one, not arduously, by the way. Just a quick precursor kind of, and I couldn't find one. Pretty much unanimously, this movie is panned. But apparently the founder of Central Park Media loved it enough. See, the thing was they'd been using it as their logo for years before they even released the actual anime. They had taken the silhouette of Geist and they co-opted it as their logo for US Manga Corps, and then it took a couple years before they actually released MD Geist. So you had gotten used to Central Park Media releasing movies that were action and gore and like Genocyber and you know they even Manga Corps even did Project Echo. Like they'd gotten a lot of releases. So by the time Geist dropped, there was people were, you know, anime fans were kind of hyped for it because this is the one that's in their logo. Mm-hmm. So it did gangbusters as far as anime releases are concerned because of all the hype. That's how that one happened.
It splattered against the wall like those jelly octopi that you get in the coin machines, and just
Yeah.
Then instead of walking down the wall, it just flopped. Oh man! So they convinced Geist to help them, and again, at this point, no money, no motivation. Just
did they convince? No, they didn't convince Geist. They allowed Geist. Geist convinced them to let him go.
Fair point. So they go on this mission to Brain Palace. Never gonna get tired of calling it that. They're going to Brain Palace, and these guy gets everybody's getting, you know, decimated, and the one guy, I don't remember his name because it didn't matter. He's with the Colonel guy, and the Colonel guy's telling him, like, you'll make it. It doesn't look that bad, and he's like coughing up blood. I'm like, no, dude, it's that bad. It's very much that bad.
Like bleeding out of his back. He'll be fine.
Yeah, roll around.
Like, oh man, you'll be fine.
So they finally, it's like the last, I don't know, it's the mid third act, right? We're like near the end. And they finally give you the reveal that it was the Colonel that left Geist for dead on the satellite. They tried to do that to be cool. My immediate thought is why didn't you kill this dude way earlier?
When he was asleep.
Either one of them.
You know how many movies wouldn't exist if they would have just killed the guy before the movie started?
Don't you do that, Vic. Don't you sit here and try to bring common sense, movie magic into this bullshit.
Movie logic.
You can forgive movie logic if the movie's good. This doesn't give you a pass. This guy was in power armor. He crushed a guy's skull, and Geist rolled up on his little Harley skiff thing. Could have ended the movie there. In it. Because Krutsu, Ovildo, Folugenstreim, or whatever.
He got Winter Soldier.
and guess what? Geist knew that it was the guy.
And the whole time he knew. So the whole time he could have killed him. You know what I mean? Like, if this big reveal was supposed to be their rivalry, that
they failed.
They really dropped the ball on that one. He decides he's going to kill him now. Now's a perfect time to kill. If all my people are dead, I'm going to kill you now. And then he activates his robot killing machine, who is
So while you're trying to find the words to say this, they are starting a mission to infiltrate Brain Palace, to make it all the way down to the final floor, to walk out where the guy who was starting the mission is going to betray the other guy that convinced him to let him.
So he didn't really want him there in the first place.
And then use the final guardian of Brain Palace.
Right. He's using Brain Palace's tech to try and kill his arch rival.
And just walks right past.
And this robot, how he magically co-ops, I don't know. The best way I can describe it is it's like it starts out looking like a Gangayo kind of, like it's this big elaborate mech, and it just doesn't die. Every time he kills it, it sheds a layer until it's like it's not its final form yet. Like every time he killed it, it's like, oh, I'm not done yet. Final form of Bionicle, and then it looks like this Lego Bionicle stick guy.
But it got smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
It was like a Russian doll. It was like, I am a wannabe Gundam, and then all of a sudden it shrinks down and it goes, maybe I'm a Terminator, and then it shrinks down and goes, okay, I'm just a crash test dummy, and then
seriously. And then he defeats the final form of this robot after some difficulty because he's the most dangerous soldier. And this is one of the best parts of this movie. We're here in the final moments, and the Colonel turns around, and the little Bionicle bot like walks into the room, and he's all steaming, and you're like, everybody who's ever watched an action movie knows how this is going. And then the robot kit falls down, and there's Geist.
As he walks on, you hear the
right. So then instead of doing anything, the Colonel laughs as Geist grabs his skull and crushes him.
Because you can never have too many crushed skulls.
Right, so they do this, right? We've established. I want to be clear. We've established Brain Palace is the most dangerous place in the planet Jerra, and it's had this 3-level robot death squad, and all the everybody has died trying to get to this place. Colonel gets there, and rather than finishing his mission, turns around and laughs to get his head crushed. Right, all this has happened, and then Hyena Girl walks in.
No power armor. No power armor.
Nothing. Did she take the elevator? Like where the did she come from?
She's in her Conan bikini, and she goes, I just hid from everyone. We could take over the world. I'm sitting there going,
what the hell?
Were you hiding in someone's butt?
So
you found the employee pass to let her in through the front door.
So then this is probably the thing that makes the most sense to me in this whole movie is he looks over at Hyena Girl and he realizes, now you know what, everybody can die, and he just turns the key to activate the death machine. Everybody thinks that Geist is just this horrible like psychotic killing machine. No, he just realized he didn't want to exist in the world that she existed in, and he decided to end it all.
He thought that was the one thing that actually made sense.
Yeah.
And that's probably the last thing that makes any sense.
Look, I was like, you know what? They kind of told you right there in the beginning that he is homogenocidal. And every last one of them went crazy. Maybe because all of them were locked up in Brain Palace, killing everybody, and get ready to use, Death Force? Yeah. This is the only thing that made sense. When he actually hit the button and starts Death Force, I was like, well, he kind of told you. It told you in everything.
But Brian, it stops making sense after that.
So here's where we get into an interesting thing. So there's a stinger in this anime. So the credits start rolling, and you get the stinger. And the stinger is just a still shot of, I don't know, an armored orgy mess, like, of design. It's like an armored centaur with a giant steel penis, or it's like a robotic llama with testicles on his back. I don't know. The mechanical design is that's the point. But it's the one thing you get is this robot llama thing. And that's where the original ends. It doesn't tell you what that is. You're assuming it's Death Force. It doesn't show what they do. You assume that they've, eradicated. This is it for 10 years. That's how this anime ended for everyone until the sequel, which I didn't watch, but Victor was kind enough to fall on the sword for us.
I just had to after that cliffhanger.
Vic?
I'll give you the short version. It starts off with him hunting down each of the robots in Death Force because he turned them on just to hunt them down. Hunt them down when they're off. Don't get it. Then there's a city, right? And you find out the guy that's in charge of the city that's taking in all these refugees is MD number 1. And essentially, everything gets destroyed as those two are fighting. Everyone dies, essentially. Llama Girl survives. Or Hyena Girl.
Hyena Girl. All right. I want to be clear. They've established in their opening crawl that the MDs are most dangerous soldiers, and they all went crazy. And nobody thought that their alpha and their beta versions might have been problematic when every final version after that was psychotic.
Oh, it gets even better. The doctor that designed the MDs was helping Geist to defeat, I forget what number 1's name is, despite the fact that Geist just wanted to kill everything. And number 1 just had a god complex.
So this anime series, we'll call it, is an exercise in psychotherapy.
Mundane?
In that everyone is psychotic.
Except Hyena Girl.
Apparently, but she's so heinous that they wanted to eradicate all life. So,
and they failed with her.
I thought I was going to feel better talking about this.
No.
I'm going to go ahead and give you my files right now. You don't even have to ask me.
Go ahead, Brian.
Burn Up W, MD Geist is above it.
Damn. All right. So what you're telling me, Brian, is you would rather watch MD Geist than sit through a single session of Burn Up W. I respect that.
Was that what I'm saying? No.
No, the other way around. You're saying it's worse than Burn Up W.
No, I can't. This whole thing is
It's bad.
I mundane powers in my head to calculate this. I don't know which one I hate more.
Oh, so for you, they're crisscrossing, each other.
10 years before you got the director's cut, which added a little bit more footage, and a sequel
that made even less sense.
Right. 10 years. In anime time, that's like an eternity. In the 80s time, without internet, like that was like forever. 10 years. And it got worse, which it didn't think was truly possible.
They tried to add glitter to hot garbage. It doesn't work. Glitter doesn't save everything. If I had to choose between MD Geist and Burn Up W, I would have to say I would tell my friends about Burn Up W before I told them about MD Geist.
Right. I feel like you could get away with somebody watching. Remember when we covered it, at least the first 2 episodes. You could get away with letting them watch the first 2 and being like, so this is kind of a funny spoof on, on cops. You can watch this first 2 episodes, but stop after the first 2 episodes.
I don't know if
you can't do that with Geist. You can't say watch the first 10 minutes. There's no small chunk of Geist that is savable.
You can't even freeze frame on their mecha. You're just looking like
how does that move? Like it's just
are you cosplaying a mecha? Is that what it is?
So what's interesting about not what's interesting, I guess just more fuel to the fire, right? Is we had the 86 to 96 jump. We had the American driven director's cut. And then we got the sequel later that year, 96. And then months later, we get the comic book, the manga, which is about the prequel. So they weren't satisfied with just more anime. They said, we're also going to do a manga. I know.
And someone in Japan went, oh, Americans.
You're right. So stupid.
I think the same people that that were responsible for MD Geist may have also sent us another thing that we got, and that would have been 2 Girls, 1 Cup. So,
is this the anime equivalent of 2 Girls, 1 Cup? Is that what this is?
I would have to say no. I'm pretty sure there is a legit anime equivalent. But we're not going to discuss that on this episode.
No, we're not doing that.
I can imagine Andreas is listening to this part. He's like, no, dude, guys, why did y'all go there?
Right. You realize I have to add this to the show notes, right? Don't name it. Whatever you do, don't name it. Vic, why don't you go ahead and give me your final thoughts on MD Geist and MD Geist 2? Because I don't know if I have the strength to do an episode just on 2. We're combine them both for this.
Yes.
Go for it.
So, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to admit this. Yes, it sucks. It's horrible. It is a guilty pleasure of mine. If you're a fan of like god awful movies from the 80s and 90s, like stuff from Trauma films, like The Toxic Avenger and all that stuff, you'll love it. If you like,
your filthy mouth.
If you like things that make sense and that are good, then you will absolutely hate this movie.
Shut your filthy mouth. You dirty, dirty man. I will not accept that as your final thought. You will not
finish.
No, that.
Take it back. Under your mattress.
You take it
let me finish.
No. Oh, hell no. That. No. And that's what you thought of? You said
let me finish.
That's true. Man, that. Hell no.
Just for that, I'm sending you a giant MD Geist poster.
Go ahead. Why put it in the back? With 2 cups. No, that. No, you can do much better than that. You can do much better.
Do much better. That's what I'm saying. I would absolutely not recommend it for anyone.
No, but we would recommend Toxic Avenger.
Have you seen that one lately?
Yeah.
It's trash.
It's not trash.
It is trash.
Look, I will take the plot of Toxic Avenger over whatever the we got with this any day of the week.
I'm not saying it's as good or better. I'm just saying if you're into those garbage kind of films, you'll enjoy it.
I dare you. I will get on a plane. Say it again.
You're saying you'll jump on a plane and come on and visit? Hey, everyone, MD Geist is phenomenal. If you like garbage.
Oh man! So
show we have a virtual war.
It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't know why.
Don't. It's not necessary to bring down Tromaville. Tromaville did nothing to you. He's an Avenger. He stood up for all of our rights. How dare you? Him and Moppy, I will not sit here.
Hey, would you rather me use another one of their properties like Kabuki Cop?
You know, Lynette, I would really love to hear your final thoughts on MD Geist.
We're listening. Watch your mouth.
Hey, like this is what I did. I was like, it took the worst parts or the most confusing scenes from Mad Max, Conan the Barbarian, and all the other crazy, and Beyond the Thunderdome, you know, like when the big old monster came in. I was like, because every time I watched it, I was like, okay, what's happening? What's going on? I don't know. I'm lost. It's like the whole time I'm watching that, and that's what I was like, yep, this is what happens when you get plopped in the middle of Mad Max. You have no idea why he's in the desert. Beyond the Thunderdome, you have no idea why he's fighting. And then Conan, you have no idea why he's just sitting there at the end. You know, I was all confused. But mostly I was just hoping that the crazy girl would go away. I was like, maybe MD Geist should get rid of the crazy girl. That might make the whole thing make sense. Yeah, and she just never goes away.
Look, I've never heard Lynette ever use words like I pray, but I think that's the closest I've ever gotten to Lynette say, I prayed she would have died.
I think that's the only thing that
it's like MD Geist has brought her closer to religion.
It was super mundane.
I was like, maybe they'll get rid of her this time. Maybe.
So yeah, for lack of a better description, this is universally just it's a bad film. It's a bad film in every way possible. Animation quality is bad, mecha design's bad, character progression is laughably bad. Plot is bad. It's all bad.
They tried to combine too many things. That's what it was.
But isn't it always that way? Right. Seriously now, I know these films are revered, but a lot of post-apocalyptic films are just bad in general.
Especially the ones from the 80s and 90s.
Right. This is sort of par for the course. I think that it takes it wanted to be cool so hard. This was that nerdy kid in school who just decided, instead of embracing the fact that he's a nerd, I'm just going to try as hard as I can to be cool. And you watch him and you cringe.
I'm going to prove you guys wrong.
It's cringe. That's what this movie is for me. This movie is cringe. Now, I enjoy a good bad movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme's Street Fighter, top tier bad movie. But I love watching it. It's horrible. This is not my version of that. Like, if this was on and I was flipping through the channels, I would see it and I would just rip the TV off the wall and throw it out the window.
I would curse first. I agree with what you're saying, but there would be profanity. Man, this
I could get a new TV. I don't even want to reach for the remote. It's
like I would have thrown like a mug. If you know how you're channel surfing and you just press the channel and then you come down and you see and you recognize what you're watching, it would have been right after that the TV remote would have been thrown at the TV.
So yeah, it's pretty horrible. I think I can go the rest of my meager life never revisiting this movie again, and I think I'll be okay.
Ever. You don't need to.
And Vic, I appreciate that you enjoy it in its sort of lunacy, midnight 3 a.m. USA Up All Night style badness.
Yes. Like Joe Bob Briggs drive-in movies on USA.
Yeah. This is definitely the kind of thing. I don't even think MST3K would have touched this.
Come on. Look,
but
I'm seeing the value of friendship here.
I'm just saying I'm not one of those people.
Look, I see the value of friendship. And ladies and gentlemen, there are two reactions that you're seeing right now. You see, we have been best friends for years. And you're seeing one person who is saying, hey, dude, if you like it, I love it. I want to support you in your habits. That's how you get from cocaine. Take my approach.
It's so
that, dude. Hell no. No, this is not what you should be doing. Do not suck that. Maybe you need to find, and you know better. You know better. You are you guys are gods in my world.
Oh man.
You're saying that in the same breath that you're telling me that you're going to go to Japan. You're going to tell me that this is a guilty pleasure for you? Hell no. And I raised you better, and I in my house.
Brian staging an intervention.
That's it, yes. Live recording of this intervention. So there you go, folks. Take what you will of it. MD Geist is what it is. I feel like we've
don't take it.
given our thoughts on it. So if anybody doesn't have anything else to add, I think that's gonna do it for our show today. I'm more than happy to end this one a little early. So
Tried to be better than super mundane.
Right. I would hate for this to be super mundane. So until next time, keep calm and Krutsu Ovildo Folgenstreim. You've just been privy to the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd, presented by Geek Grotto. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Geek Grotto. For show notes and corrections or for general geeky fun, you can visit our website at geek-grotto.com. If you would like to sponsor the show, you can do so on the podcast's Red Circle host site, redcircle.com/shows/MMMAN. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, please like, follow, and subscribe.